Welcome back to, I say welcome back. If you've listened to any of the other podcasts, welcome back. If this is your first one, I mean, you picked the right one, is really what I'm going to tell you, because this is going to be our first time to do a musical guest on what I like to call a moderately good podcast. I am here with my friend Chris Pennington, but I didn't even know his name was Chris till like way late. I mean, we've probably been friends a couple of years. I was like, I don't even know what this guy's real name is. So everybody calls him Penni. So Penni, say hi.
Hello, Scotty G. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time. I was trying to think about how many years it's been. Probably 15 years, 12 years. Has that been that long?
At least.
It's been a long time.
Because like I got married. I dated her 10. Yeah, and I still wasn't. Yeah, I bet it's close to like 20 years.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're about right. Yeah, I guess it would be.
So I mean, but
anyway, it's good to see you, man.
Yes, and a lot has changed.
Yeah, a lot has changed.
And the big thing that's changed for both of us is that we're both now girl dads.
That's right.
Yay, girl dads. yeah, girl dads. So, how are you enjoying being a girl dad so far?
Man, it's been fun. It's being in your 40s and having a kid has, certain challenges, just you're kind of stuck in your ways and whatnot. But once your kid is home, you realize that that's really nothing else is that important, like she's the most important thing in your life. And it's been good, man. It's been a super positive experience, and I learned from her already, man.
Yeah. So what's your worst your worst doo-doo story so far? Like what's the worst thing that's happened to you so far?
Well, lucky for me, I haven't been on the receiving end of the doo-doo spray, but my wife has.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a pretty messy experience cleaning up the entire bathroom really late at night. So
have you, do y'all always put her like in a onesie when y'all put her to bed?
We do. We put her in a onesie and a sleep sack.
Okay. So, but have y'all ever put her to bed with like just in her diaper?
No.
So let me tell you, big mistake trying to trust a baby not to pull their diaper off and just throw stuff everywhere. And if it happens to be one of those nights and then it's all over a room, you don't want to go through that.
That's right. Yeah. You gotta have more layers there to keep all that stuff in.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just looking to like not make the access to the diaper like it's like you're putting a straitjacket to make sure that she can't like get to it, you know? So I think I don't know if I mentioned this a while ago, but we are both in our 40s.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we knew each other. Obviously, we know each other for a long time. It was probably 18 years.
That sounds about right.
Just to come back to that for a second. It doesn't matter. Anywhoosie. And we worked downtown together, did fun stuff downtown that downtown people do. Figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for you is, like, could you have had a child? Could you do now in your 40s what you what could you have handled a child in your 20s?
Man, that's a great question. Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't ready. And even through my 30s, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Even for relationships, really, I mean, when I met my wife, it was kind of a random occurrence, It was just like, hey, like I knew her as a friend and we met each other and we started hanging out. And then of course we get married and fast forward quite a few years and we have a daughter, so it's everything kind of fell into place later in life for me. But I don't think I would have done it any other way. I couldn't have done that in my younger years.
I do like this. This is just me. And this is like, I was selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very selfish person.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't, like, you understand this. You can't be a selfish person and be a parent.
That's right.
It's just like already off the table.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so the amount of patience that I have and stuff like that. And so, it's like, I think a lot of people rush to like get married and find this thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it works out really well. Like if you're really looking for the right kind of thing, you're going to kind of find it.
Right.
Because when you're younger, you're chasing probably all the wrong things as well.
Yeah. I mean, you got to find, obviously what you like, but it's more important to figure out what you don't like and what you don't want, and when you go through, the whole dating experience and whatever else, I mean, you learn a lot of those lessons, sometimes the hard way. But when it's right, it's right.
Right.
That makes sense. Me getting sappy over here.
No. I mean, I think it also you don't. This is gonna sound. This is like I'm gonna do my best Matthew McConaughey Green Lights impression. It's like, you don't know what's bad if you don't know what's good.
Right.
And he has this thing where he just makes the most mundane shit sound like really cool.
Yep.
And so it's like you have to go through some bad experiences to realize what good things look like.
Right.
And what's important and what's not.
100%.
You know what I mean? And so, and I think like, us being the same age, we probably feel very similar about like electronics and things like that, and like communication people, especially because we're bartenders together.
Yep.
And that's just like a lot of talking to people, and you're a people person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, it frustrates me that people can't just like talk to people.
I agree. I'm talking through like an app or, whatever else, like face-to-face conversations by far my favorite thing to do.
And that's why,
and
that's what's cool about like kind of doing this, right?
Yeah.
And so like, we get to come in and, like hang out, be face to face. Haven't seen you in like 18 years, that's cool. You know what I mean? And so, also, Penni goes by Penni because that's your music brand.
Yep.
So, tell me like, first of all, just kind of tell me like what got you into wanting to do music? Where'd that start, or where'd it come from, or where do you identify with it at?
Sure. So I started playing music when I was fairly young, probably 15, 16 years old. And it was more just, I wanted to play guitar and stuff. And I like to sing. So I had to find something that I could sing to. So I did that a little bit through my childhood. And then when I got into college at Iowa State, I got talked into playing some shows after doing like house parties and stuff for fun. And I ended up being somewhat of a resident musician in Ames, where Iowa State's located. I do like Saturday nights and things like that. And it was super fun, but I never thought it was going to go anywhere past that. It was like, hey, this is college fun time. And then when I graduate, or if I graduate, I'm going to go off and do something else that's more grown up.
So I really quickly, I have a question.
Yeah.
And remember, we're girl dads, but we're not stupid. Okay. So, and if you don't want to talk about this, I would totally understand. Like when you were around, like playing college bars, stuff like that, what was like the girl situation like? Like did a lot of girls like they wanted to meet the guy that plays on stage? Was it very was it like your closest thing to like rock starish kind of like fame?
I guess it kind of felt, the rock star way, but it wasn't really that for me. It was more just having a good time with buddies.
Yeah.
I was not interested in really dating a whole lot, through college, I did, but it wasn't one of these things where I had to have like a relationship.
Right.
So yeah, it was just more just, when I was playing these venues, it would just be like a bunch of my buddies in the crowd and, just having a good time. Like we're just sitting on the couch at one of the houses, one of our houses. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I would, I just like, I think about that, like, it's a perk, you know what I mean? And I didn't ever experience anything like that, because I wasn't that kind of a public person. So I thought, well, maybe girls are just like, hey, come play our private house party like later or something like that. I don't know if you got some of those gigs or something.
No, never had to wear a Speedo and play private parties or anything with the lights low.
Wear a Speedo?
Well, maybe. I would assume you'd wear a Speedo, right?
Hey, and not to brag on you, but like when we worked downtown together, people came to see you, and that was always like really cool to me. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, you have that energy, you know what I'm saying? That's like that's what gets a guy like you on stage to do that, is that kind of that, I don't know. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Working in the bar industry, it's one of those things where like on your nights off, you're out promoting yourself or hanging out with your buddies and all that. And
it's a full time job.
It's a full-time gig, 7 days a week. And it's
people like, I'm being a little facetious, but I am being a little serious.
Yeah.
It's like, to know the other bartenders and to like get hooked up when you go places and all that stuff. It's constant politicking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're down there every night.
Yep.
And if you're not working, you're drinking.
It's
right?
Right. You're out hanging out with your friends and stuff, because you can't do it when you're on the other side of the bar. And even to today, a lot of my friends have moved on and done other things. They open their own bars and restaurants, or they've done something totally different. But they're still my closest friends.
Right.
You have that. You kind of connect when you.
Well,
when
that's how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
All right. So, usually I use the space helmet to ask random questions, but I decided since in honor of Penny being my first musical guest, and just one to have fun, we're gonna do our own kind of versions of impersonations of people that maybe wouldn't do songs that they would normally sing.
Okay.
I totally, full disclosure, everyone, I stole it from Jimmy Fallon, and he probably, but we're gonna do it anyway because it'll be fun. And Aaron helped us write all the things, so I don't really know what's on there, but we'll see. So,
all right.
Let's get him set up here, Joe. Watch it right there. I'm gonna that cord you.
Sorry about that.
No, I just didn't want you to
All right.
Oops. Do you need a warm up or anything?
I think I'm good, man. I've had a little sip of my whiskey. I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's all you need.
That's all you need, man. That's all I need.
That's another example of like showing your age. You know what I mean? Like
you sip.
Well, like that, and do you like to day drink more than anything?
It's I don't really have a choice. If I want to have some sort of cocktail, it has to be during the day. Because at night you want to go to bed with a little one.
I'm just gonna go ahead and get them all out
All right.
All right. So let's see what we got here first. Let's see. So the first one that she wrote down is a very old, grumpy man doing his favorite Matchbox 20 song. And by the way, so just because we're kind of warming you up, when I asked Penny to come on, I was kind of like, hey, I want you to do one of your original songs, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I was like, hey, do you want to do a cover? And so we talked to each other. We call each other, and he goes, man, I just know 90s rock songs. And I was like, great. Great. You know what I mean? So we have a kind of a 90s or rock kind of theme around this. So really, really grumpy man does Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20. Let's see. She said it's cold outside, and she hands me a raincoat. She's always worried about things like that. Martha!
Henry!
The cat's on the roof again. Get out of the garage. Cat's on the roof again. Goddamn, get out of the garage, Henry. The cat is on the roof.
I don't know on that one.
That's good. That's good. Ooh. This is gonna be good. All right. So, Valley Girl. Yeah. So over it.
Totally.
Does Metallica.
Oh man.
You got this.
Let's see.
Oh, and you didn't even go the other route. That's great.
So close, no matter how far. Never gain much more who we are. Nothing else matters. I'm just cratering my music.
You're always thinking of yourself. It does matter. Have you not seen my Facebook, Instagram posts? Everything matters. Especially when I post a half naked picture of myself and then I put a really long quote at the bottom and then I'm an influencer.
Totally.
Totally.
I put it on YouTube, so therefore I'm famous.
Hey, shout out to the YouTubes. I feel like this is kind of easy. I don't know why she put this one at the back. So, drunk karaoke guy does Pearl Jam.
Oh man. Drunk guy?
Drunk guy. I mean, he's at Spotlight up there in Cedar Park, and he's just like lit, and it's like closing time, and he's like, wait, I got something to let y'all know. Y'all need to hear about this.
Sheets of empty canvas, untouched sheets of clay, were laid spread out for as her body once dead. No idea, man.
All right. So this last one says, and this is weird coming from Aaron because we discussed this earlier. You said you don't know anything about sports.
No.
All right. So
no, nothing. Yeah.
So I'll tell you. So it says at the top like screwball. Do you know what that means? It just
a baseball thing, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Pitch.
So she flipped it. She flipped it around, and she picked a 90s rock, like like basically those pretentious like dicks like singer, and she gave the example of Eddie Vedder, and his best impression of No Doubt, or doing a No Doubt song.
Man,
I like that one. That one's good.
Let's see if I'd even know a No Doubt song here.
Who doesn't know a No Doubt song?
All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm walking in your spider webs. Leave a message and I'll call you back. Whoa, life is gory. Oh, leave a message and I'll call you back. I don't know if that was Eddie Vedder or just, I don't know.
I mean,
every 90s singer.
Every 90s singer, yeah.
Every 90s singer.
A little bit of Scott Stapp mixed in there.
Yeah. Do you do a good Creed?
Oh man, I couldn't even tell you if I know. I don't even know if I know any Creed songs.
Well, I understand that you're saying that because you don't want anybody to know that you know Creed songs. But
yes.
no, I'm asking you, do you know any Creed songs? Like I know you're telling me no.
I will be honest, man. I will be honest, man. I was when I was
body's telling me no. What your body? I don't even know how.
Your mind is telling me no.
What's that?
So I will admit that when I was in college, I did cover some Creed songs. I do not remember any Creed songs.
How could you forget a Creed song?
I tried. It took me years and years to forget.
Aren't
Creed
they really
songs.
simple?
That's why it took a long time to forget them.
Were you ever like you're just like you're like playing your guitar and then like all of a sudden you just bust out a Creed song. You're like you have like a fit.
Instant Scott Stapp. With arms wide open.
So like what like who inspired you? I think we kind of got away from that. Who inspired you? Like who are the guys that you like like a musician's musician kind of thing?
Yeah, well, it's actually, I mean, I do have a lot of respect for Pearl Jam, but who actually got me into music was Chris Cornell.
Yeah,
listening to him, Euphoria Morning, I think it was his first album.
Yeah,
I played that on repeat. Back when CDs were a thing.
Right.
and actually maybe cassette tapes. I don't remember, but yeah, I mean, just that kind of got me in not only the music side but the writing side, like writing a story and singing it, and in a presenting it in a different way other than telling the story,
Right.
you know, in voice. So yeah, I mean, it's that was kind of my start.
Did his death shock you? Were you
It
shocked
did.
like that?
Yeah, I was shocked. You know, and I mean, it was in the past few years. I mean, there's been it seems like there's been a lot of you know, celebrities and you know, that have passed away, you know, untimely. But like with Chris Cornell, like that was the first time, not really the first time, but one of the times where it really hit me, like it hurt.
Like there's a lot of people feel like that about Kobe. Like when Kobe
Yeah,
died,
oh,
like
100%. Yeah,
like
I mean,
really,
I felt like that with him too. I mean, it was, even though I don't know anything about the sports, I mean, he was a good person, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, like when you have, like with Chris Cornell, for instance, like he's such a gifted musician, and the way that he writes is, I mean, it's so positive and all that. But you know, the fact that he was just taken away too soon, I mean, it crushed me a little bit. You know,
Right.
It's like now who do I have to look up to? You know,
right.
that's where I got my start. So, but yeah, that hurt. It was a tough time.
I retroactively look at like people like Muhammad Ali and
Mhm.
and things like that, and it's weird. It's weird, kind of like looking back, like having someone that you didn't grow up at the same time, like, you know, like you kind of like grew up like with him, but then having someone that like you didn't realize how inspiring it was.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I guess what I'm really getting at is like, I don't know if I've really had anybody die yet that really affected me, other than people I kind of go back and watch.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That makes sense. I gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
Do Eddie Vedder doing one of your songs?
Oh man.
Because I know you know your songs. So like, I know.
You know my songs. Yeah.
Yeah. So now
I
you
hope I do.
But you and what's, do you know what song you're going to do?
No, I got to think of one that would be an Eddie Vedder-esque type of song. Let's see here. Let's see. I don't think I know my own songs. That's not a good one. All right, hang on. Bear with me. Eddie Vedder, huh?
Yeah.
Lying here next to you, think of all the things we could do. Maybe get away, maybe leave this place just for a day. Would you come with me? Should we? I'm not even playing the song right.
Well, I mean, but you said it had been a minute since you had done like a performance and stuff too.
Yeah.
We're not a little rust off. You know what I mean?
A little, definitely some rust here, man.
Well, I mean, you know, like, you know, hopefully pandemic's ending soon and you can get back out there, you know. Different perspective as a 40-year-old dad.
Oh, that's right, man. I mean, the other thing too is the sleep deprivation, which a lot of people don't really talk about.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. It's like we try to do like shift work, you know what I mean? Because like of my job. So a lot of times like she has her the majority of the day in the morning, and I try to pick it up in the evening when I get home as best I can, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just try to help each other. I mean, you know, it's two people going through it.
Yeah.
Like you got to kind of work together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just like kind of like you're not doing your part or whatever it is, you know.
It's definitely a team, man. I mean, that's the most important thing is the relationship. You know, when you have a kid, because you have to lean on each other quite a bit, and I've learned that.
Who does she look? Who does your daughter look like? She look like you, or
it's kind of split 50-50, honestly. Like between my wife and I. She has my wife's eyes and kind of the facial features. She has my gigantic ears. But I mean, the personality though is the thing that shines through, because she's a perfect split between us.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my wife is super driven, determined, and not saying that I'm not, but I'm just kind of more laid back and kind of observe. And Olivia has that, she definitely has both of those things.
So 2-part question. Do you think that, your wife kind of came into life for y'all to balance each other? Like, do you think that is one of the, like, that you needed someone that evens you out in some way and you even her out in some way?
Yeah, I think so. A small part of that though is I think her and I had been through some pretty rough relationships, and
before we all met,
and then, once we started to get to know each other. I mean, like I mentioned before, we were friends, prior to us actually dating, but when we actually sat down and had a conversation, and she's the one that initiated it because I never would have. We were sitting at a friend's.
Have you thought about it?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I was interested because she was cool,
Yeah.
But
do you think it was good that y'all were friends?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally
yeah.
was.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, and we ran in the same circles too, so we had a lot of the same mutual friends already. And we were at a friend's birthday party, and there was one seat open because one of our other friends had left, and it was next to her. So I sat next to her, and she turned to me and goes, "I feel like I know you, but who are you?" And we just started having a conversation about things, and I don't think we've been separated since. Like, we haven't been apart from each other. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's
does that feel very serendipitous? Like, do you believe in that kind of thing? Like there's a there's the perfect place or perfect time or whatever there could be the possibility.
I don't know. I think, well, maybe. I think that moment might have been something, but it was just more of the what led up to that moment. Like knowing each other, having a lot of good, same friends, whatever. But what really attracted me to her is the amongst other things. She's super driven and super business savvy. I respect her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important.
And that was, I'm not saying that was the first time I respected someone that I dated, but it was one of these, it was on a different level. So.
Well, it's one of those things where it's important to have respect for your spouse, and it's also important not to disrespect them.
Right.
And so, that's a two-way street.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't kind of grasp that. They just want to be respected. And it's like, well, you gotta do it too, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
And like, once you kind of let your ego go like that, it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
Something that, Aaron and I do is like, if there's like a moment where we feel like maybe the one or the other like took something maybe the wrong way, she'll just immediately come up to me and she'll go, "Hey, don't take that personal."
Yeah.
And I go, "Okay." And so, and I just know, and it's not like, "Oh, you're being passive aggressive." It's like, "Don't take it personal." I was like, "Okay." And and that's cool. It helps communication so much.
There's a lot of truth in that. Like you can't take anything personal as a new parent, because
especially as a new parent.
Yeah, I mean,
because sometimes it feels just like it's like, why do all these things keep happening?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you go from having this relationship where there's affection and whatnot to having high fives in the hallway at 2:00 in the morning. That's it. But I mean, that's what it is.
But so once again, going back to our age and. Like you understand that more.
Yeah.
Like, like when you're like in your 20s, like, if your girlfriend went to bed, like if she wanted to go to bed, you're like, well, and she was like, "Are you coming to bed?" And like, "Oh, I guess I gotta go to bed."
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
Yep.
I want to watch this movie or whatever.
Right.
But like when you get like in your 40s and you're going through all that, it's just like, yo, get yours. You know what I mean? Get your sleep. Hey, I'll see you in the morning. Get your sleep. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, you're looking out for each other that way.
For each other.
And it's a different type of bond. And I think, but you have to be really selfless.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's very attractive to me, like how Aaron is. Is it attractive to you how your wife is with your daughter?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's an excellent mother. And I mean, watching her be a mother is probably one of the most beautiful things that I get to experience every day.
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just like, we're both trying to figure this thing out. Like, how to be a parent. We've never been parents before, and there's a lot of mistakes and stuff along the way. And, I think I think I'm doing something that might be right, but then it might not be right. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely a stronger attraction, if that makes any sense. Like seeing my wife be a mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really, but I think a lot of people don't take the time to appreciate their spouse and what's like, like the best compliment that like Aaron gives me is like when she tells me like that she tells her family that I'm a good father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's like, you know, like I tell them all the time, I think you're a good father. That's like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff to turn you on. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how that things change, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But I mean, it's just like, you know, like it's respect. It's a lot of respect for your spouse, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly on that for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, kind of stepping, you know, back before parenthood for me is, you know, my wife and I, we both travel quite a bit, you know, and like independently. And it was kind of cool because we meet each other in different cities and stuff and hang out and have like date nights.
Did y'all ever like pretend like y'all didn't know each other?
I don't think, maybe we did once. I don't remember though. We did or not.
I'm not gonna push it. I know if you remember or not, but I'm not. But I mean, like now. Let me ask you this: do you wish you would have now being 40 plus? You're like, man, we should have done that, right?
Well, I'd be concerned because my wife's pretty witty, and she'd probably say some shit that would be like, oh man, this is getting me kicked out of here.
Anyways,
I mean, let me give you an example of this wittiness. That we were shopping. And and then she was like, she goes, hey, I want to go look at some clothes, you know, whatever. I was like, well, I'll just go with you, you know.
This is recent.
This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Like we were dating for a while.
Okay. So it's no baby. Just y'all.
Just us.
Are y'all living together?
I think we were at the time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were walking through the store and she's looking through the women's clothing and she walks by like the checkout counter and there's like 5 women standing there in the women's, you know, clothing section. And she stops, turns around and said, sir, will you quit following me? And I'm just like, you serious? I mean, I had 10 eyes staring at me going, this guy's getting beat down. So that's a little snippet of my wife's wittiness.
So she's a prankster.
She's a prankster, man.
Yeah. So is Aaron. Aaron's a prankster.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but like here's the sad part about me is that like sometimes like I just don't participate and I'm just like, you know, I don't want to do it today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I feel bad sometimes because like that's the way she shows her affection to me, like the same way with your wife, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, our personalities are very different. You know, I'm more of kind of like I joke around and never serious kind of. And, and, you know, but you know, she's definitely witty and she has her different sense of humor. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it was interesting in the very beginning because you got to try to figure out like how your personalities can mesh. You know, like I'm a certain way and I say something and she takes it the totally opposite way. You know, you know what I mean? So, but now we've been together for so long, like she understands it. You know,
well, and it's weird that sometimes takes so long.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know, you really have to listen and pay attention to your partner.
Right.
Like, you know, it's not hard to listen.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that hard.
Yeah.
But we have, because we become poor communicators, we have a really hard time doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, and with this whole pandemic thing that we went through and we're still going through, I guess, but, you know, being locked down, you know, traveling so much, you know, we're actually apart from each other because of our travels more than we were together. And I'd be on the road maybe 150, 200 nights a year. And she was pretty close to that, I think. But then everything stopped, you know, early 2020. And here we are at home with each other. And we're like,
how was that?
It was good. I mean,
that's good though.
It was good to hang out with like my wife, you know, like, hey, we don't have to go anywhere. We're not committed to be going anywhere. Like we can just hang out at the house. Now, granted, of course we got under each other's skin, you know, I mean, because we're in close quarters and, you know, probably at that year mark, we're like, okay, we need to go out and do something. Like we need. So. Well,
you ever see those like those old people that just like argue with each other and they're almost like laughing the whole time and like they just don't even like give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how long. Like I feel like that's my trajectory. Like you know what I mean? That like where you're just kind of like, you know, like why am I gonna let that stuff ruin my day? Right. You know what I mean? Like it's no point. It's stupid.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, it takes two to make a relationship work and you got to click on as many levels as you can. So,
I've said this before. Like, you know, if there's a checklist of 10, you know, you're shooting for 70%.
That's right.
You know, 3 of those you can go ahead and just cross off. You're not going to get them. I don't know what they are, but you better be cool with it because you're not going to get it. Yep. You know what I mean? So, really quickly, I want you to just kind of like just talk about your album came out in 2012.
Yeah.
right? Okay. I just want you to talk about kind of like the title of the album and like what inspired you to do an album, and just like some cool fun facts that like about the process of making an album, making music.
Yeah, for sure. The album thing was never on my radar, and there's the backstory. When I first started bartending in Austin, I managed a place called Darwin's on 6th Street, and we had a small stage and stuff, and just so happened that the staff that worked there knew a lot of touring musicians and whatnot. They'd all just hang out at the bar, so I got to meet a lot of cool professional musicians, and kept those friendships going for years, and just stayed in touch, or we'd see each other and just kind of say, hey, what's up, kind of a thing. And fast forward probably, I don't know, like maybe 10 years from then, I was one of my friends was recording an album here in Austin. He lived in Houston at the time. He said, hey man, you should come to the studio and hang out. So I did, and I went there, and my friend was his producer, Matt Naveski from Blocktober.
Oh wow.
So we just kind of caught up, real quick. And he said, hey, here's some stuff that you have. And I started playing. He's like, we should do an album. And that's kind of what happened. So we recorded the album, and that's going on, 9, almost 10 years now. And, just of my group of friends that play music, Ryan Hawley being one of them, Brian Batch, there's Ryan Smith and Alfonso Lovelace, those guys that were introduced to me through my musician friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're all professional, very good musicians, so I joke, like on my album, like I am the only one on my album that's probably not signed. So, but, it was one of these things where I got to take a lot away from these musicians and make me a little bit better of a musician. So
it's like kind of like a master class,
kind of
a little bit.
It really was. And,
yeah.
and being in the studio, and I've been in studios before, but never did actually do my own stuff and record a full album. But there's a weird energy in there, and it's a good energy,
Yeah.
where it's creative.
It's like roller coaster energy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's like you feel real excited about. Like, it's like Christmas energy.
Yeah, for sure. And there were times where I was recording, and the sound engineer Andy Sharp from Music Lane Studios. He'd be like, he'd stop like, hey, hang on a second. Like, you need to change this vowel, or you need to modify this chord real quick. And I'm like, okay. And I did.
Were you very open to that?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's the best way to be, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta trust this process of these guys that are helping you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't rush it. I mean, you can crank out an album within a week or so. And we probably did it over 3 or 4 months. Like, it was kind of a slow process. I was writing in the studio, so a lot of the song I went in with a few songs, but maybe only 2 or 3, and the other 8 I wrote in the studio.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
how was that?
It was I kind of took that to, I had some lyrics and stuff and maybe some rough ideas, but it took being in that environment and that having that energy around me, to kind of put songs together and structure them. So
what's your process? Do you do you come up with like a melody or tune, and then you come up with the words, or do you have like kind of words and you kind of try to match it? What's your process in writing a song?
I usually start from the lyric side. I'll put together lyrics that kind of sound good with each other, or I'm more of a storyteller, singer, I guess.
So let me ask you this: when you listen to music, are lyrics important in a song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's got to tell a story for me. Country music's kind of that way.
Yeah.
And I could probably transpose most of my songs into country. But I like that story. I want
Steven Tyler already did that. So
I know.
You can't. You can't. It's already been done.
Cross genre kind of a thing. But yeah, I'd like it when someone relates to something that I've written, if that makes sense. And
no, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm very much like I like and listen to the lyrics of songs and what things say.
Yeah.
Erin is very much, she's like, she loves like the melodies and the noises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she's a musician as well. So it's interesting to hear different perspectives on people that are musicians and like what they attract to in music. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say like the most, one of the best feelings that I've had is, playing shows and looking out into the crowd and people singing my own songs back to me. mean,
That's very cool.
That melts me. It melted me the first time I saw it, or, you know, first time I experienced that. It was like, man, people care enough to actually learn what I'm singing up here, you know? And, that's kind of the fuel that keeps a musician going though, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, I did the album. And, you know, unfortunately, when I got through the whole recording process, it was in mastering. I was to my burnout stage. Like I was,
Oh yeah. I mean, like
playing too much, and
I mean, that's yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like, cause like, how what'd you say the timeline was to make the album? What
Probably about 3 to 4 months, I think it was.
I mean, that's intense, especially if you only went in with like 3 songs, but you wrote like what 6 more or something, like 6, 7 more, 8 more, right?
Yeah.
So, and you got like all those like down, and you're recording all those, and like, just me personally, like the first, like I was kind of like, I had told you, full disclosure, I hadn't listened to it, and so then I listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, like I could work out to this shit.
Yeah.
Like it's like rock. It's very good. It's rock music. I like that. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, it definitely has a rock vibe, and that's kind of where Matt came in and gave me the spin on a lot of the songs, because I was into like the heavy rock stuff. Right? Yeah.
Like what do you mean heavy? Like what was it?
Oh, like a newer band, Killswitch Engage.
Oh yeah.
You know, that kind, you know, the kind of that new metal. I mean, Disturbed was always I was always a fan of those guys. I was kind of going down that path, but I don't scream very well. I can't scream very well. And I'm not really that. I mean, not saying they're all angry, but I can't get that aggression, you know, through my singing. But then I realized, like, hey, I'm more of a, you know, a singer songwriter style, and Matt kind of helped me tone things down on the heavier stuff and bring things up that were maybe a little bit too, you know, too off rock or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely a fun experience. But yeah, I got through it, and then I actually, my now wife, the first night or day that we hung out, was when my album dropped. So
what a baller move, by the way. You're like, well, I don't know what you're doing today, but my album's dropping, and I was thinking about just like grabbing some sushi, like, you know what I mean? Maybe go to, you know, 6th Street, hand me out free shots I can get. And,
exactly,
you know.
And it's and if you ask her, she'd be like, yeah, it's like I went to his place and listened to his album for about 6 hours straight. So I mean, but
I mean, if she's still around. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, she, you know.
Well, she, you know, she was still she was traveling quite a bit back then too. And she was overseas. I think she was in Amsterdam. And, I gave her a pre-release copy of my album, you know, cause she knew what it was before the album dropped. And she,
that's another baller move, by the way.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you want a guy?
I'll send it to you. Like, not many people have a copy of this, but I got you a pre, you know.
Exactly. Like when I got my
people don't understand. Guys got to do everything they can. They got to be smooth. We got to be smooth
to find the right relationship. But yeah, I sent her. I got the mixes back, you know, right before mastering, and I sent it to her. And she told me, like, when she was traveling, she was there by herself. And it was like her soundtrack, like walking through Amsterdam.
That's
where
cool.
She was, and even the other day she brought that up too. I think it was the Van Gogh museum or something over there. I can't remember what she was doing, but she said walking through, looking at all this art and stuff, like your music was playing in the background, and it was really kind of cool. You know,
that's really cool.
So, but yeah, I mean, I did some pretty decent events. You know, she helped me do a lot of these events, like releasing the album and stuff like that. And then I kind of stepped away from the music scene for a bit because I was just burned out. Like it was fun. You know, back at the time I was bartending to help ends meet, but I was playing 3 to 4 shows a week. You know, I was getting kind of tired.
Yeah.
So I took a break, and I listened to the album now 9 years later, and it's so different now for me, you know, because back then, like, there's some kind of the younger issues, you know, like relationship issues or whatever. You sing about it, and that's how you get it off your chest. But I listen to it now, and I like a lot of the songs on that album. But you know, I think it's time for me to do another one. So yeah, so that's my next step, is I'm going down that path.
Yeah.
So
did you happen to write anything during the pandemic? Did you feel it like?
Yeah, it's I played just a little bit. It wasn't a whole lot. And you would think being at home for the first time and like for like many consecutive days, you had time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't get myself to be creative. Like I could not, I had writer's block or whatever it was, but I could not get myself to write any music.
Was it like stress of your job, or like, do you think it was the pandemic? Or?
I think it was a little bit of both, a little bit of everything, a lot of the uncertainty probably.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I wish I would have taken a lot of that time and did more music, you know, during the pandemic. Of course, now I'm a parent, I wish I would have done a lot of things when I had time.
Yeah. Well, you know, I had this whole idea that like whenever I had my daughter, I was going to be able to like stick her in one of those like little holders.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, I can just paint in the garage. And like, that is not how that goes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if they're in that little hole, they're probably asleep. It might not be long. You don't know. You don't have enough time.
Yeah.
Like if you want to sit down and kind of write, you have to kind of get in that zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you're constantly interrupted, so it's not as much time as I thought it was going to be either.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the same thing. It's like, oh, she'll nap during the day and I can do stuff.
Yeah.
Well, naps can be anywhere between 5 minutes and 2 hours. You just don't know. So
I'm putting together this whole bit about how my daughter is like my drunk college girlfriend. I mean, it feels very much the same. You know what I mean? Just like up all hours, want to eat all hours.
That's right.
Always upset,
That's
always
right.
drinking.
Never a set schedule.
Yeah, never set schedule. You can't count on her. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Oh, so let's I actually loaded the helmet with some questions.
Yeah.
So let's spin up that little head there for me, since you're right there, and just reach in there, and you can grab any of those questions in that bowl, and let's just see what comes out.
What is something you can do better than anyone else you know?
Well, I think we're doing it right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I can do anything better than anybody else, but probably juggle too many things at once.
Yeah, that's a skill. You know what I mean?
Skill?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that is it gets exhausting? Like, do you find that like it's kind of like when you talk about like making the album, it's like, that process has to grow, and it's hard when you're cramming it all in, or trying to cram in a bunch of things to, you know,
and it turns, I mean, it sometimes ends up as you're kind of mediocre at a lot of things versus being really good at a few things.
Right.
And you know, that, I mean, I've kind of gone through like the whole like imposter syndrome thing, right? Like I'm never good enough. I get to a certain place, but I'm not good enough still.
Right.
And then when you have multiple things going on, you just don't feel like you're good enough at anything, you know? So,
how do you work on that? Like, how do you try to, like, what do you do to try to like, change that mindset?
It takes just support structure is one thing, you know, like people around you say, hey, give me your reassurance, give you that confidence and stuff like that. And, but yeah, I think a lot of it too is when you get older, you just kind of, you know, you kind of view things differently.
There's just, you know, like, I don't know what I thought, but I guess, you know, people would tell you like, you'll understand when the cliche, you'll understand when you're older.
Yeah.
And like, and having a lot of older clients and in getting older, I'm like, oh, like this is what they're talking about.
Right.
You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But you also have to be paying attention. You have to also be like trying to actively like learn and stuff like that. And like, you know, so.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, juggling a lot of things. I mean, it can be stressful. Like, you know, for example, I have my career job, music stuff. I built a house last year. I actually did a lot of the labor.
Dang.
And my wife trusted me to do all that, which was awesome.
So you did get something done during the pandemic.
Well, I guess it was just before the pandemic.
Okay.
We actually got into our house. You know, we had purchased a property a few years prior, and then we were going to go down like the remodel path, I guess you could say. And then after I started doing some of the design work or whatever and working through the whole process, I ended up just basically knocking the entire house down and starting over. So it was quite a process. But, you know, juggling that and everything else, I mean, that's a lot of stress. And we were living with her folks at the time. We were displaced. But then again, that kind of goes to show, you know, you have to have that strong support next to you to make all that stuff happen. You know, to make it a positive thing versus for a catastrophe.
I mean, it blows. Like you're both going through the same thing. I mean, like, you know, especially like when you add a kid, that y'all made.
Yep.
Right. Like the only other person that knows what you're going through is that person.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Right. And so like you gotta be on the same side. Like it's what I work for like all the time.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be the best partner I can be. That's the only thing I can worry about is being the best partner I can be.
Yep.
I can't worry about how good of a partner I have. I just gotta worry about how can I be good.
Yep. You gotta try to give it 100% every day, you
right?
know? And I mean, you might have missed a mark every now and then, but at least you're trying, right?
Yeah, and don't be scared to say you're sorry. By the way,
never,
you know what I mean?
no, never be.
No one has ever died from saying they're sorry,
right? Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But it's one of those things too, where having a kid, where everything changes, perspective changes. I don't have a hard time now saying no.
Yeah.
I'm more vocal about what I want versus just kind of going with the flow. You know what I mean?
Well, you're setting boundaries. You're going like, well, and you're saying that like if I'm going to juggle all these things, I'm going to decide how I'm going to juggle them.
Right.
Like, and I have to do it in this thing because this is what keeps me whole.
Right.
I can't do it. Maybe the pattern you want me to do it. I have to do it like this. So you have to set those boundaries around those things. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And you do have to set your boundaries and you have a kid, time's limited. I mean, you don't have a lot of free time to do stuff. And, if you make a decision and you kind of botch the decision and you waste an hour doing it, well, that's an hour you're never going to get back.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's definitely different now, and it's a good thing. So,
yeah. So, we usually kind of, what I have started doing is, we're kind of wrapping up the show and, in this fashion, and we're already kind of like talking about it. And so what I really and oh, by the way, like stick around because there's going to be music after this. But how I like to wrap up the show, and like I said, we're already talking about it, is like, what do you do to help moderate your life? Like what do you do to try to keep yourself like whole and centered so that you can be good for your daughter, that you can be good for your wife, that you can perform your job well, do some of the things you like doing music and stuff like that. So what's your process and how you do that?
It's being present is probably the challenge, but also the necessity.
It's so important.
And it's, and it's hard to be present, when you have so many things going on and you have
there's so many ways not to.
Exactly right. And I think it's more of the putting the effort in to being as present as you possibly can with everything you're doing is the most important thing. Right. That kind of keeps me grounded. But also too, when you do that, it removes some of these ancillary things that aren't as important,
Right.
So,
and you realize what's important and what's not.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I try really hard to do like no devices when I'm with her. And sometimes that's hard because like my work is through that and stuff like that. But I just try really hard because like, it is just so if my phone is like in reach, it's like crack and it's like, oh, like I'm going to get that phone and I'm going to look and check it. And like, so I just have to put it out of the room. I just have to lock myself away from it,
Oh, absolutely. And my daughter, now that she's crawling, you put your phone on the floor and that's the first thing she goes for.
Oh yeah.
Because it's something new, something she's not supposed to have,
Here's the stage you're getting into. You're getting into the stage where if you lose anything that you don't want her to have, she will find it for you. All you got to do, just put it on the floor. If you lose something and you're like, oh, and I wouldn't want her to have that, just put it on the floor and just she'll immediately find it. Like that's what my daughter's been doing for like
never lose your keys or your phone.
Nothing. I mean, like anything you don't want her to have, she'll go straight to it. Like straight to it. Her new thing is like taking her hands and slapping them in the dog water bowl.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes you can't catch her.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, you just like try to be present. Do you meditate or do you find that like kind of doing music or writing music or listening to music is a form of meditation for you? Do you use that to relax because you are so into music?
Yeah, it's the music has definitely been the thing that's carried me throughout the years. I mean, I've battled depression, for a majority of my life, anxiety and things of that nature. And you would think that, being on stage in front of people that it's kind of counterintuitive. Like you should be nervous and you're not able to play. But for me, it was always that release where having an audience there or just a few people there, even just to listen to what I was singing, I kind of released a lot of that. You know? But yeah, I mean, it's
kind of the thing. It's kind of the thing that you're good at than everybody else that you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
You know what I mean? No, but I think that's something to be proud of. Like, you know what I mean? Like, man, that's a big deal to like make an album. That's cool.
Yeah.
My mom was like on an album, but it was like a high school band album.
Yeah.
You know, and she was just like the clarinet or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They put her name on the back. You know what I mean? But it's marching band music. Like, you made a whole album. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was one of those things I just wanted to cross off the list when it was presented to me. I had to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And now that it's been a long time since I've released new music, that it's time for me to go out and start doing some more stuff.
Why not?
Yeah.
What, you have nothing to lose. You have absolutely nothing to lose.
You know, there's a stigma in the music industry. Like, you get to a certain age and you're kind of that you're too old to do anything. I always joked with my musician buddies that if I got to a certain age and I was still playing music, I'll start playing country because they don't care about age in country music. But really, that's just is bullshit, man. I mean, it's just you play music for different reasons, but for me, it's just I like to play music. I like to perform.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I'm in my mid 60s, I'll still play. So
okay, well, so we're gonna wrap this part up, and then after this, you are going to perform one of your original songs, right? And then you're going to perform a cover for us.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And we'll have all the videos up on the YouTubes and all the things.
Okay.
So why don't you play us out? Because you were doing it earlier, your Johnny Cash impression doing 9 Inch Nails.
This is outro.
Yeah, this is how he would. I feel like this is how he would end a podcast. I don't know.
And I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. Keep going?
Yeah. Can you do more?
Yeah. The needle tears a hole, that old familiar sting. I'm trying to think of lyrics. Full of broken thoughts. I don't remember.
Just get to the part where he's like dun 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 dun. Can you do that part?
Yeah. I gotta remember how to play it. You helped if I was in the right tuning too. I gotta think of it, man.
That was pretty good, though.
It's been a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna butcher it. Sorry, Johnny Cash.
Oh, he'll be fine. I think he did fine in life. Well, my man, thank you.
Thanks for having me, man. This has been fun.
Did you have fun?
I had a great time, man.
Awesome.
Good to reconnect with you after all these years.
Yeah. And don't go anywhere because we're gonna do a little special little music stuff here at the end. So don't just stay right there.
Sounds good, man.